Hello, ghouls, guys, gals, and any other life forms that may be streaming this broadcast. You are now listening to Storming the Unknown with Ashley Storm, where we have hauntings, UFOs and extraterrestrials, cryptids, serial killers, and dark history, all under one freaky little roof. A gathering place for the morbid curiosity to come and play and learn about the deepest, darkest parts of everything weird. Feast on this smorgasbord of everything supernatural and brace yourselves as we go storming the unknown. Hello, all you creepy motherfuckers out there, tuning in on a Monday. I hope your week has been somewhat good, as good as it can be, you know. Tonight, I have a very special panel with me. I have Mr. Darin Buss from our show on Paranormal Buzz Radio, the Paranormal Buzz Stop. Down there, I have Miss Cynthia Gerodias. Boop, boop. And then below me, I have Mr. Klaes. Hello, sir. Feeling coy. I like it. We have literally over 100 questions that Darin, I called you Daryl.
I go by all names. I go by all names.
You pulled the Darin. Oh my god.
I pulled a Daryl. I'm just going to call you Daryl from now on. I've officially changed
his other brother Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
Yes. When I say over 100 questions, I mean in just one of the topics, there was 100 questions, and then about 50 more on each of the other subjects. So I have about 300 here. So we're not going to get to them all tonight, but Darin has tuned into almost every single show. He's always on everyone else's podcasts. He has all of these really out-of-the-box ways of thinking about things. So we're going to go ahead and dive into it and just start answering all of these questions. We're going to go in a counterclockwise thing tonight. We've already explained that to the host. If you guys have any other questions or comments that you want to make about what we are talking about, please feel free. And remember, if you send the stars, it's a digital gift and it helps us kind of amp up the production value of everything, you know, so we don't have the cutting in and out. We can get better microphones, little things like that. So, Mr. Klaes.
I'm sorry, all, for the questions.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Peggy. Hey, Penny. Everyone else that's watching, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and dive into it because we have so much to cover. So, this is a very vague one, but I feel like this is kind of one that will bring us all together by discussing it more, asking these questions more of other investigators. What gets you excited about the paranormal?
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. What gets me excited about the paranormal is going around the country, meeting different paranormal investigators from all over the world, learning things from them, picking up different techniques, and just kind of sucking it all in, you know. Just I enjoy the people. I enjoy the camaraderie, and I enjoy, it's a nice hobby. It's fun for me. Something I've always enjoyed doing.
You, my dear Cynthia?
I agree with all that, and I'm going to add the ability to gather knowledge on things that are unknown to people, scary to people, you know, to gain knowledge about things that people just don't understand, and to be able to kind of help them through it and help them understand it a little better.
Yes. And you, Darin?
I agree a lot with Dan. I mean, it's just the camaraderie of it, going to different locations, trying new experiments, like me, asking a lot of questions. Why does this work? Or why do you do things this way? You know, I'd also like to know how different it is from the East Coast versus the West Coast, Midwest, and how people investigate. So it's all interesting stuff for me. And like Dan said, it's a great hobby.
And yes. Daryl, your turn.
I don't know. What question is that again?
I'm sorry. It was number 2 on the list of 100.
Your alter
but
ego.
a combination of what you guys said, but it's more the community and finally having like a safe place, because a lot of us it's very few and far between to find investigators who are just in it because they're genuinely curious. It's a lot of people that have had experiences of some sort that they just want answers to, that, you know, things that have made you feel crazy because you would hear things or see things, and just things that aren't normal to others is normal in our community. And I love that I found a whole group of batshit crazy people to be like, oh yeah, I totally believe what you're saying right now. Thank you.
And I just want to add a little thing. I mean, on a personal note, for me, with a visual disability that I have, that also entices me to use my other senses and do different things differently than other people do. So that's another reason why I like to do it and show people I can do something different.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll through the myriad of questions because I somehow lost my place in the whole fucking shebang of it. When I tell you I'm still scrolling, I'm literally still scrolling up.
Well, I'm gonna add the same caveat I added to the last show that we just did. As you can see, my animals suddenly decide when I am doing a live show or I am on a live show that they want to sit by me and be in the picture. So you'll have to excuse my animals here.
This one I really like because I am 30. I don't know how old you guys are, but I don't exactly know how. I don't think that any of you are kind of old enough to really fully be able to answer this question, but it's a very interesting one. So what is different with the paranormal today than it was 20 years ago, and what has been the one thing that's remained constant?
Oh, honey, I can answer that one. I'm 45.
Okay, well, then good thing we're starting with you first this time. Go ahead.
20 years ago, it was more taboo than it is right now. 20 years ago, it wasn't as accepted as it is right now. 20 years ago, there wasn't the myriad of technology that we have now. But then again, 20 years ago, things weren't always evil. Not everything was a demon. It was 20 years ago, there was more of the curiosity, there was more of the interest in it, there was more of the seeking of knowledge. A lot, not everyone, but a lot these days are the 15 minutes of fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I mean, this is my opinion, but it just seems that way. It just seems like nowadays everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame.
Yes, and that's where it gets dangerous, though, because we've had that discussion, but that's a whole nother topic, and we'll get to that part because that's part of the questions that he asked. What about you, Darin?
Well, like I said,
considering you're so new, you're such a noob.
Okay, so I'm 44. So 20 years ago, like Cynthia, it was taboo. Nobody talked about it. No, everybody did it quietly. When exorcisms were done quietly. Now it's kind of out in the open, and people talk about exorcisms and going to haunted locations is like, hey, what are we doing Saturday night? Oh, we're going to go investigate this location, and so it's brought up in the now. A lot of new equipment is out there, like she said, try new experiments, outside the box things that people really weren't thinking about 20 years ago, and if they were, now they're bringing it to light so people can see how it goes. So
I would like you to go before I do, please, Daniel.
I agree with that. I feel like, I don't know, in all the years that I've been doing paranormal, just probably in the past 5 years have we started seeing engineers getting involved and different pushes on different types of equipment to use. But it seemed like it was stale for a while. Like it was the same same old equipment. Nothing was really pushing it forward. So I'm glad to see that a difference between then and now, as far as equipment utilizations and the way that people think. They're really starting to think outside the box, and you're seeing things push forward as far as the field goes. Maybe not to where I would like it, but at least there's people out there that aren't afraid to say something now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's never a dumb question to ask anything. I mean, I'll tell you that.
I agree with the being taboo because 20 years ago I was 10 and dealing with I feel I can't say anything because I've seen what happens to Haley Joe Osment when he says he sees dead people. So guess what I'm not going to do is tell people that I see dead people like it was. And again, going back to the whole community of it, that it is much more accepted. The community is huge. Like when I first started, I didn't realize there were so many other people who did this, but then it also plays in the same part that so many people are doing it, but not necessarily doing it with the purest of intentions because they do want that everything is demonic or evil. Like how many documentaries are out that have hell or demon or something along those lines of something satanic and pure evil in the title just to grab you, when really it's just some dude who was a huge jackass in life and is getting aggressive with you,
Yeah.
So it has changed because people, one, aren't as afraid of it, but it also is kind of a double-edged sword because they're going in so blindly because it is so mainstream now. You know what I'm saying? Like you go into a location just acting like douche Bagans over there, it's not gonna go well for you, and that's scary to me that people want to go in and just be like, yeah, I caught something, but yeah, okay. It just, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. And teach their own, but you got to be careful, man. You just got to be careful.
Yeah. That's the scary part is everybody, everything is something.
Yes.
And then we have to go in behind them and go, no, not everything is something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Hey, Cynthia, what's Roland's favorite quote?
Oh, that demons have better things to do?
Yes.
There you go.
The demon.
Yes.
Demon.
Demons have better things to do than to mess with little people like us. That was his favorite quote.
I think these are from the episode we did for Roland. Actually, it's funny that you say that because one of the questions was about Zach Bagans.
Paganism?
Paganism.
Now this kind of plays into it again. We'll go from here. Darin, I want you to answer this first. Where do you see the paranormal field going in the next 10 years?
Oh, I see there's going to be a lot more new locations opening up that haven't opened up yet. I think that people are going to really dive into more difficult experiments to get different outcomes than what we do today. And I think the investigating style might change as well, on how you perceive things going into a location and coming out of it.
I truly hope with how much the scientific community, like how Daniel mentioned earlier, they're actually like engineers coming into the field and trying to build things to get responses that they can scientifically back up. That's the biggest thing, is not having that scientific validation and the validation in the scientific community itself to proceed with this as an actual field of study. And I hope that within the next 10 years, we get to that point where, the government's already being like, yeah, UFOs are real and shit. I hope in 10 years they'll have just universities open for people to study paranormal or parapsychology or quantum psychology that works into the paranormal field. You know what I'm saying? I hope the scientific community gets more involved in what we do by that point. That's all I can think of, because otherwise I think it might get worse with the provocations and all that energy that you put into these places. But I hope it'll get better.
I think it will get better, and I think there's going to be this is my hope. This is my hope is that there'll be a coming together and a unity in a way that when we think about how it can be dangerous for people that see it on TV, how we can embrace them and help get everybody kind of on the same playing field, so everybody can work together. And I know this is, and it's a perfect world. Not everybody's gonna work together, but if we could get the majority of the herd on the same playing field, kind of like just in general, I think that it would definitely help push what we're trying to accomplish, as far as pushing the field, trying to see if spirits can, physically attack, try to see what they may be, where they may be going. Try to get the answers that we're all wanting to know by getting everybody on the same playing field. Because a lot of times we push those people away, or we, like I saw yesterday this brand new paranormal group online, four likes on their page, and they reached out to Robin and at his location and said that we would like to get paid to investigate your location. And they also posted on their page that they were going to do residentials for $20, and boy, did they get ripped into an asshole. They're new though, and within an hour of people reaching out to them, they changed their tone. They just don't know, and instead of ripping people apart, and talk to them, embrace them, and try to make them understand the reasons why we think the way we think. It's not all about business. It's not all about money. It's not all about
look at me.
It's about doing things for the right reasons. And if you want to get noticed, you're going to get noticed faster that way than you're going to get noticed by doing the wrong things, because they're going to get ripped and then forgotten.
Right.
And I don't know. I hope there's more camaraderie and more people come together in the future.
I agree with that. And I would add, my hope is to see a lot more education. Like Dan said, education for new teams, education for people that don't understand the field, education about the way it actually works, because there are so many, and I've even ran into this in residentials that I've done, that think that we can be in and out in an hour and have everything answered for them in an hour, and that's just not possible. I mean, unless there's absolutely nothing there, and there's absolutely nothing there, and then once you bring that one up, and then they're like, well, how can there be nothing here? So I think education is something that I think will be, I can see that being brought out a lot more. The other thing is probably, we're talking in 10 years. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I think in 10 years, there'll be a lot more of the scientific side as well. I think in 10 years, there'll be a lot more technology out there, new things that we can do and try and work with to maybe get closer to the answers that we're seeking to find.
Yes. Oh man, I can't wait. I'm so mad. Growing up, you thought everything was gonna be like the Jetsons, And I'm like, that's 2021, bitch. I should have a fucking spaceship by now.
Flying cars.
Absolutely barnacles.
Flying cars, yep.
Ridiculous.
Or we get the Ghostbusters things, we throw it out and then catch the ghost that way.
Yeah, no.
Nah, just kidding. Just kidding.
Although I'm interested to see the new one.
Yes.
When's that coming out?
Next year, the beginning of next year, I think.
So
I think they're trying to wait for everything to be over again, because they put so much money into it that if they don't do a theater release, they're not going to get their money back off of it.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Thanksgiving of this year.
This year? I thought they pushed it back again, because it was supposed to be And the beginning of this year, I thought during the summer, and then they pushed it back. They keep pushing everything back. Let's see. I'm trying to find one that's a little bit different than what we've been talking about. And there's so many to choose from. My gosh.
Need a
So we could-
jukebox.
November 11th, 2021.
We could get into Darin's toys
Okay.
again.
What's that, Dan?
We could get into your toys again. I mean,
Okay, what is the weirdest thing that has happened to you on an investigation that you never want to see or hear again? That is me. I'm going to skip me. Go ahead, Dan.
the weirdest thing, man. That's a good question to just throw on me. You know, like I've had some weird things happen. It's weird because there's been things that have happened that I thought that I didn't want to happen again, but then as I go back and think about it and logically think about, you know, what just happened, it's like you want more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's been some weird shit that's happened, definitely. I just like I'm thinking about like a couple different for instances that happened while I was investigating a theater. And then once when I was in Davenport, Iowa, but the one that stands out the most probably is at the theater. You know, you're sitting there. We all want to see something physically with our own eyes when we're investigating an audible sound, or we don't want to have to use equipment. We actually want to see it because seeing's believing, right? So I'm sitting up there in the mezzanine. And I'm sitting at the baby grand piano in this old theater, and I see this, you know, this is like close to one at the beginning when I started investigating. So we've got our laser grid, we got our, you know, $100 camera videotaping, and we're just sitting there, and the rest of the team is down on the stage, and this shadow just basically comes out of the wall and glides in front of me, like to the point where I'm like I'm terrified. You know, I was freaking terrified, like because you think about your own mortality. You think about everything crossing through your mind, like, am I really seeing this right now? And it scared the shit out of me. And I think if I could go back, I would. I'm glad that happened, but I also probably would want to have to deal with it again. You know, like it was the hair on my arm was up. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like I was gonna have a heart attack. It was just terrified the shit out of me at the time. Now I think I'd run at it, you know, like I'd probably be like, who are you? Where did you come from? You know, like, you know, what can I do? How, you know, give me where did you live? You know, try to get as much information as possible. But, you know, I think it's different, you know, depending on what stage you're at with your investigation process. You know, what's going to be kind of the things that have happened. So,
yeah.
Cindy, did I give you enough time to think, Cindy? Was that long enough?
Oh, that one up.
If you still need time, I can go on to Darin.
Well, there's really not anything that I've ran into that I absolutely would not want to happen again. I've
stealing my thunder, Cindy. Come on, come up with something more original than that.
Okay, so Randolph County Asylum. When we went there, we were down in the basement, and one of the rooms has 2 mirrors set up across from each other with a chair sitting in the middle of it, and half of the people were down there, and they were doing an EVP session or something like that, and it started calling out one of the younger investigators, and this investigator was 17, 18, I mean, younger guy, and it scared him, and so we pulled him out of there, and they came and got me, and I went down and I sat down, and it was myself and a few other people were trying to figure out what was trying to get at this person. Well, as I'm sitting there, all of a sudden Taylor was standing against the wall. He comes off the wall, standing in the middle of me and this mirror, saying, "You need to get up and you need to move now." And I kept telling him, "No, I need to see what I'm up against. What's going on?" Apparently, everybody else in the room, except me, saw an ashen gray face with red eyes in this one mirror. And I mean,
do you think if you had seen it, you would feel differently about it?
possibly. I mean, I've had another one where I was sitting in for our school, and Roland and I were in one of the classrooms. Roland was at the front of the classroom calling the children in for class, and I'm sitting against the wall, and I see shadows come crawling up to me. That is one of my biggest freakouts. Is I can't deal with things crawling at me. I hate crawlers. And so I was up and out of that room. So I mean that would be one of the scariest things for me to have to deal with. But would I want to see it again? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, what about the women's club there? Didn't you have that happen too?
No, I wasn't there for the crawler on that one, hun.
Oh, okay.
No. But I mean it's something that freaks me out. It's something that, you'd think would terrify you, which it does. But would I want to do it again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, basically.
Because,
bring it on.
So that we can find out exactly what, like Dan said, run at it. What are you? What do you want? Why are you here?
Start crawling back to it. Like,
no.
Get on its level.
No.
Get her back.
No. No, that will be the one time you will see me start backing very quickly out of a room.
What about you, Darin?
Gosh, see, I've had a short stint in this right now. Just getting started. But the weirdest thing that's really happened to me is when I was 7, of all ages. We messed with the Ouija board and didn't really know what it was, and so I was downstairs playing pool by myself, like a normal 7-year-old would. And it's just unreal where a TV would come on by itself, and you physically unplug the TV from the wall, and the thing comes back on by itself.
What?
So that was kind of weird.
A little bit.
Not enough to scare me just yet. Trying to comprehend as to what just happened, And then, but the thing is, what really freaked me out is, like, there was a tall lamp way back 20 feet away, and I had this, you get a weird feeling that when something's moving and you just can't, put your finger on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this lamp was moving, and it freaked the crap out of me. I'm like, what the hell? And
so it's lamps for you.
So then I went around the pool table, and as I pulled back on the pool stick, I hit something. I look back, I'm like, shit, that lamp's standing right next to me. Boom. I ran upstairs, never went downstairs by myself ever again in the house. I mean,
it's lamps for him, it's rocking chairs for me.
I mean, that was scary. I mean, had something like that happen. 2 paranormal events happen in the same spot within 10, 15 minutes of each other. I mean, that's unheard of.
But especially as a child, like you can't process that rationally as a child. Our brains are literally filled with nothing but Scooby-Doo and unsolved mysteries. Like, this is some weird shit going on, and
right. But I mean, if this happens to me now, just like Dan, I would run up to it, like, what the heck? What's going on?
Can you do that again?
No,
can you do it again?
Can you do that again, only louder?
I would run up to it. I don't know that I would for sure.
But
I'd like to think that I would.
Yeah. But see,
when we're all put in that situation, we don't know what's going to run through our bodies. We don't know how we feel. So,
I mean, like I said before, with my
we all can't be Cynthia. So, I mean,
with my visual disabilities, I cannot see shadow people real well. So I might just walk up to a shadow person, or they will run through me, and I probably won't even know it. Till,
Oh, you know it probably.
Yeah.
You
If
know
ran
it.
through you, you'd know.
but
Yeah.
we'll take the test of this weekend when we get to Melbourne and see what happens. So, but like I said, I mean, it's just, now it's like, yeah, let's see what happens. Let's try getting something going. I'm not scared of it anymore.
Yet.
I was about to say, until.
Yet.
Rich brought this up when I asked the question, and he said it at the asylum, and that is actually my answer too. So, at the actual asylum that I own, there is something like attached to the land itself, very, very positive that it's native. That land is very heavy in Choctaw and Caddo history. Whatever the fuck is back there changes what it looks like, changes its energy, changes your physical and mental state at the drop of a hat. I don't like saying the word for what we think it might be, but
Is it a Winnebago?
No. It's something.
Does it start with a W?
No.
Did you say a Winnebago, like an RV?
Yeah, because she didn't want to say that. She didn't want to say the
I
actual
don't want
word.
to call it out.
Yeah, we don't actually give them power. But
Right.
Native American is the energy flow of everything is very strict and tight. And Choctaw Nation will not actually let any of their shamans perform any type of paranormal cleansings or anything anymore, because as a nation they're trying to move away from the old hokey adages that they're held to, with like being medicine men and things like that. So Choctaw Nation in itself does not allow anyone. So
it's the SW?
Yes. It has to be something of that nature, because we've literally seen it change from like this giant human being looking thing into this really small little human being looking thing, and then a fucking animal like a cat or a raccoon, or just random little animals that were not in the area. Because in this back area you can hear anything coming at you from like 2 miles each way, because there's nothing but brush and shit ton of leaves everywhere.
So like a shapeshifter.
So if something's we don't say the words.
Darin.
Don't say the words.
Sorry.
I
You're gonna say it differently. Chip shaped.
That's what I'm saying.
As long as you don't give it its name and usually like that's fine by me. But it freaks me out to the point where if I have an event and I have to take the trash out, which is in that back area where the alley is, I will drive up, and it's a 2.5 hour drive. I will drive back up the next morning and do it when there's light out, because there's no light out back, and I refuse to go back there by myself. And I go into every location by myself. Like, I love being alone in creepy, scary places, but if something's making me not want to be there alone like that, it's a whole different level of creepy. Rich caught, while I was telling the groups, I tell them, you're not allowed into the alleyway. That is the only place that's off limits. You're not allowed to go out and investigate in the alleyway. Like, everyone stays in the building. You can investigate in the front. That's fine. And he caught a full EVP when I'm giving the tour saying, we don't go out into the alleyway, of a male's voice that I've never heard before. I've caught so many different things. And he said, I'll come find you.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like,
no, you won't.
yeah, he did. Because that night was one of the worst experiences I've had with him. Because I stay out there the whole time. I have a fire pit built by the alleyway, so I can kind of like keep an eye on what he's doing and making sure that he's not like coming in and out of the asylum as he pleases. Because that's something I really wouldn't want.
Yeah, no.
Most people to encounter. And I don't want to get rid of him either, because it's their land. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not my right to get rid of him or make him lose his land. So I bring him stuff. All the time. We've kind of come to an agreement about our relationship, but it took a while to get to that point. I'd be standing there and have groups in broad daylight. You see things get thrown at me from like the brush lines, from the tree lines where people like go and like drink beer and do things in back in the woods, like beer cans just full on fly out of the woods at me. Nobody else there. When we start talking about it, I'm like, okay, we're going back in, So I don't let anyone go out there anymore. And
Wow.
Yeah, definitely him. It's not that I wouldn't want to encounter him. I just know that I wouldn't want to get on his bad side because I have to encounter him for the sake of what I do. But I would never want to piss him off like he got a few months ago. That's just no. No, thank you.
Draw the line. That's what you do.
Yes, exactly. See, he said I felt its breath on my chest outside because I actually let them go back there. Like not. They were in a huge group for an event, and they went on the other side. They didn't go on the side that I'm talking about specifically. They went onto the other alleyway because it's a huge property, but it followed them over there and was like making noises and cat sounds trying to get them to come and find like the cat, but it wasn't a cat, and then got pushed or like got these really like bad negative feelings, feeling like they're gonna puke, had to leave. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Ooh, oh my god. Yeah, you do need to come down here, Goose. Now this one I'm very interested in because I don't know if we're all going to be on the same page on it, and I like it when we're not all on the same page. You know what I'm saying? Like I like when we all have kind of different views of how we're functioning. So, do you feel that there's ever a right time to provoke a spirit? Cynthia?
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Provoke?
Yes.
No. Antagonize? Yes. If you are in a prison, if you are in a mental asylum, if you are in somewhere where there's some not so very nice stuff, you don't want to be all light and rainbows and daisies going, "Hi, I'm here to see you. I'm here to visit you. How's it going?" No. You need to stand your ground. You need to turn around and go, "Okay, look. I did it at Squirrel Cage Jail. So, yes, I'm speaking from experience.
What,
I
you
did
went
it
in
at
with the
Squirrel
daisy
Cage
thing?
Jail. Huh?
You went in with the daisy thing at the jail?
Oh, I was all rainbows and light and love and daisies. And I tell you what, I got walked all over.
So
I
in a way, it worked.
I ended up turning around and putting on my jacket for my security uniform, which has my badge and all of that on it. And I turned it around and I acted the CO part. And once I turned around and acted the CO part, I got a little bit more activity and I got a little bit more of a, if you can call it that, quote unquote, respectful activity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got more conversation. I didn't get as much picking on me and trying to scare the crap out of me. So,
Right.
yes, in certain circumstances, I believe that it's okay to antagonize. Do I ever want to provoke? No. Because that's like going into somebody's house and screaming at them at the top of at the top of your lungs when you're standing in their house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all about respect. It's all about respecting the spirits, respecting the location, respecting the land. I am not a certain spiky haired dude that has a show on the Travel Channel.
What about you, Darin?
Yeah, I think it's okay at a certain point, but tactfully, tastefully, not like Zach Bagans'
So again, though, not provoking, antagonizing, because there's a difference between standing your ground and then literally sitting there and calling something out and being like, "You fucking scratch me, do something. Show me that you're here. You show me that you're strong," and being
I don't think you
rude
can do
and
anything
wasteful about it. Yeah. So you're saying antagonizing rather than
provoking to possibly if something's not. Like if you're having a real quiet night and you're trying to get something started, maybe a little, but mostly, yes, you're right. Antagonizing, yeah. Like Farrar, I mean, I I antagonized the principal a little bit when I was there. But that was...
And what'd you get for it?
Yeah.
Did you get spanked?
No, but I know it wasn't very upset with me because
He got knocked in the office.
But we got the music box to go off like crazy. I mean, it wouldn't shut up. But then again, I had other people with me that were antagonized it as much as I was, digging in its files and all that stuff in the back room and stuff like that, and saying, "Are you hiding this here? Are you hiding that here?" We're trying to get some stuff going. So, but yeah, I mean, is there ever really a good time to provoke? To you? Is there ever?
No. See, and even to the point of antagonizing, and I never really thought of it that way, but I think too much of me is like, I don't know what it is, that you could be like a serial killer murderer, and I would go in and treat you with respect because you get what you give. You know what I'm saying? Like, now if it turns into something else, oh, then yeah, like my tune's going to change, but it'll never get to the point where I'm like, fuck you, getting aggressive or in their face.
Yeah, no.
But standing your ground, yes. Provocation, even just to get something because it's quiet, absolutely never. Because that's not our mission. If they want to be quiet, they're not circus animals and they're not on cue. Like, if they're not feeling like communicating with you and what you're doing isn't working without you taking that extra step to sit there and call them out and be like,
You're just
showing them
gonna piss them off.
negativity to get results, then no.
See, I
some places are just quiet.
I just don't swear at them or nothing like that. Like, to call names and stuff. I don't do that. It's there's a whole different feel to when you do things differently. But
I mean, I kind of
leaning
disagree
more
with all of you. I mean, I think it's important that, in order for us to get the evidence that we need to show our talents, we need to provoke. We need to treat every spirit like they're 5 years old, so we can get those negative responses for every single time that we investigate. No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, are you being serious right now? Because that straight face thing you do fucks with me so bad.
Doesn't it?
I mean, I do.
Because you had the same face when you were talking about dildos earlier. So, I can't. I don't know what's true and what's not.
Respect 100% is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. Respect.
I
think that you go in with more. The more knowledge that you have, I think the better you're going to be. I don't ever provoke. I think that going in, speaking respectably, and understanding what you're possibly dealing with, and having knowledge, you can get better evidence than you can if you go in like douchebaggins and treat everybody like they're kindergartners. And of course, you're going to get negative reactions. When you do stuff.
You get what you ask for.
Exactly. And then they have the audacity to run away when that shit happens. That pisses me off the most. Like, you literally just sat there basically forcing them to show their hand, and then they finally do it, and you're like, I gotta get out of here.
No, he runs away and leaves Aaron there.
He
runs away and leaves Aaron there.
I'm not just talking about them. I'm talking about like this whole wave of like TikTok and YouTuber investigators that's coming around. Yeah. Like, you're in these pretty awesome locations, and then you sit there and get responses that you've been basically like busting their balls for, and then you run away. Nah, bro. Stand you heard a knock. Oh my god, I'm gonna run away. Bitch, go and knock back. Like, stand your ground and stop. Like, it just drives me nuts.
I don't understand like the locations that allow that show on for them to go there either. It's like if they tried to come to my location, I would turn them down over and over and over again. Like, you want to build up a certain level of respect with that, and the people that come there have to understand the respect levels that you want at your location, because in order to push it forward, you can't come in and do that type of stuff.
Well, you got to respect, like you said, respect the owner.
And the thing
the location and the land and everything.
Right.
And what bugs me is I've seen the episodes that they've done at places that I've gone to, and places that I've investigated.
It is like the energy is than what they portray it to be. It's
exactly
insane.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
Now, this kind of plays back into it, and Ray Goose, the Goose Meister, said, "Do you consider reenactment as provoking, as in the day he played the part of the prison guard to trigger activity?" Now, I'm going to answer this one first because
Okay.
I'm going to be real short about it. But no, I don't think it's provoking because I am very big on the recreating the energy that was there in that time to get them feeling more comfortable and being in that sway of things with their normal environment. But there is an extent to which I'll take it. Like, yes, I'll be like the nurse or something. Like when I'm in the asylum, I'll be the nurse or the guards overnight and stuff like that, and do like bed checks and roll calls and things like that. And sometimes they get a little bit crazy with you for being in that position, but it's knowing your limits more than anything. And I totally believe that, Goose does, and most all of us for the most part know that line where it's drawn if we do use reenactments.
Yeah, I think it's intent. I think that you're raising the vibrations by doing a reenactment, and you're doing it with good intentions to get results in a good way. So I don't think that going in and trying to recreate the energy, like you said, of what happened in the past is provoking. You're trying to make them feel comfortable to communicate with you.
Yeah,
What
and that's
about Gettysburg when they do that stuff and they do reenactments?
ooh.
Does that give up does that build up the energy that much more later in that day, or is that?
Oh, I'm sure it does. I would not doubt it a bit that if you were to go to Gettysburg and watch a battlefield reenactment, if you were to go back that night or even right after they got done, I would bet that the energy out there is probably off the charts.
Yeah, don't you think they would get wild about that?
Yes and
They
no.
lost their lives there, fighting the war, and then they go out there and reenact it. I mean, if I was Spirit, I'd be kind of pissed off if they did that.
I don't know. It's hard to say because, I'm not.
It's
We
intent.
went.
I think like it all comes down to intent. What's the intent of the reenactors?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are they trying to have a negative effect on the energies that are there? Are they doing something for history?
Respectful for history. Yeah.
Respectful.
Or is the Spirit saying, "I hope he's playing my role right"?
Well, okay, so this last May, we went down to Vicksburg, Mississippi, and we actually went to the battlefield at Vicksburg, and walking just the little bits that we did get out and walk. The atmosphere there is already so charged and so heavy that I think, like Dan said, it depends on the intent. If they are going out and if they're going out and doing it respectfully to show the history, to show what happened, to show how things were, I think that the spirit and the energy there would take that quite differently as to if they were going out there to show the superiority of one side against the other, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So,
unless one actor gets out of line and doesn't realize it.
well, and I'm sure if that actor got out of line, he's probably going to feel it.
I'm sure he would.
90% of the time, he's probably going to feel it because with the abilities that I have and going out into Vicksburg, it's harsh. It's harsh because I can hear the screams. I can hear the gunfire. I can hear, all of what happened.
Do you ever feel like you're getting like burning pains inside of you? So this was the weirdest thing. I didn't know that bullets were hot. I like the term hot lead. I thought was just like to make it seem cool. I didn't know that when you get shot, it's a burning feeling that you feel more than anything. When I would go to war sites or like memorial sites like that, I would always get burning sensations and never understood it until I got older.
Every once in a while, yeah, I would get that
Interesting.
heat, but mine was more the sounds, and every once in a while, I would get a visual image of just bodies strewn everywhere. I mean, there's a line in Vicksburg where they show you with red plaques and blue plaques where the Confederates were, where the Union soldiers. There's one part in there where they were only like 20 feet apart. I mean, hand to hand combat.
Mhm.
And it's so undescribable, just the feeling of it. So,
Right.
Somebody has mad tunes going in the background.
That ain't me.
Sorry,
That's Dan.
that I don't know why it caught me. Now I just want to do like some techno shit.
Uh,
I still got on Samantha Fox.
Look her up, Daryl.
Who's
yeah,
that again?
Daryl.
Who's that again?
Samantha Fox, Daryl.
You mean Celine Dion or what? No, I'm just kidding.
Not even close.
Oh,
Bruh.
oh,
Bruh.
bruh.
I'd be asleep right
Really?
now if we had on Celine Dion.
You're gonna go in timeout, Daryl. This one is very interesting because people seem to be all over the place with this, and I am kind of curious to see because Cynthia is always a little too honest with how she feels about it, and I fucking love it because most people don't disagree with this. But how safe do you think it is for people to run haunted object museums? And is there always the potential that something can come home with you when you go into places like this? And because Cynthia, I know this frustrates her so very, very, very much, I'm going to start with Darin so she can get back to a normal color because she's getting flustered.
Well, with haunted objects and museums like that, I think they need to stay private. I don't think you need the whole country to come see the haunted objects that have stuff attached to them. And are they wishing when they go to these museums that they come home with an attachment? Do they want to take these things home with them to see what would happen and how different environment would be than what's there? But as far as like I said, museums, I just think they need to just be private and not be tampered with.
I agree with that to an extent. Like the natural curiosity of all of this is kind of what makes us go to these places in the first place, right? Or investigate as paranormal investigators. Now, being responsible about the people after they leave your care, that's a whole different story. And then also securing the objects that you've accumulated. We know for a fact that a certain person, again, owns a museum where people are constantly horribly affected. Now, whether this is whether this is a psychological effect, like a placebo effect almost, of people going in and having these preconceived notions of, oh my God, it's so strong that people have passed out, and then they get their blood pressure going so high that they actually end up passing out when they're in there because they're so freaked out about it happening to them or anticipating it so much. How much of it is psychological versus how much of it is actually a real threat? Now, when people leave, like even when people just leave investigations that I do, like if I do public events and in the asylum, every single time a group leaves, I cleanse you before you leave. Mm-hmm. I don't ever let anyone leave a location without cleansing them first. So I would hope.
What do you use?
It depends on the religion, because it all depends on what is the biggest belief set. Then I use pagan rites for them. It's literally like a just brief little like pagan cleansing. And those I usually do at home though, because I need like my whole little like altar set and things like that, and doing like the protection and cleansing and wiping of them and stuff like that. But like we had a group, Rich and Sean are in the chat. We had something really, really just shitty start happening to us, and you could definitely tell it was in the church area. of the asylum, and you could tell something like just wanted us out, and it wasn't demonic, nothing in there is demonic, but he's very strong and mean. So as soon as it started kind of affecting our moods and attitudes, I went outside and we had a huge prayer circle, and then I cleansed it with holy water and holy oil and everything else. Like, you have to be responsible for the people that you're letting into these places. So I don't have a problem with responsible people owning it. Do I think Zach Bagans should own a haunted museum? No. Do I think that people should go there? No, unless you know what you're doing and cleansing yourself coming out. But it's all up to the who owns it. Because I know that Steve Hummel owns a Paranormal Archive of the Afterlife. He has a few haunted items and stuff. And the way that they run it is very it's historically based. It's the compassion of helping other people get rid of the items that might be bothering them or bringing them harm and stuff like that. That's what most of these museums are there for, to collect things that are harming other people and to keep them in a safe place. When you're doing it just for money and being like, hey, this is the car that Jeffrey Dahmer murdered a bunch of people in, come look at this for money, that's a completely different scenario. That's not even a museum at that point. That's a sideshow. That's a freak show that you're paying to look at.
What about the Warrens?
I have mixed feelings about all of that, especially after working with the Warren Legacy Foundation for the past few years. They're not open to the public anymore. They haven't been open to the public in a while.
But they bring the items to you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what pisses me off, is that I think Ed and Lorraine, they brought it some places and things like that, and that's where we have to sit there and be like, no, they didn't sit there and bring it anywhere. The people who are in charge now, I'm not going to say his fucking name because he just get a boner off of it, brings him and makes money off of Annabelle. And for this thing to be so fucking dangerous, supposedly, but you'll put it on a plane with 200 other people and risk their lives because she's that dangerous that she can, like, take out anything, right? And you're bringing her to have tea time with 500 other people, but you're not cleansing them when you leave. But you don't, it's just, it's so irresponsible. It pisses me off.
I think it touched a nerve.
Yeah, it makes me mad. People are just irresponsible about it, and whatever. It's your turn, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that. I mean, unless it's for historic and preserving the history, and you know what you're, like, how many of us have been at locations where it's like you're in a museum?
Yes.
And there's historical items, and there's items that could have attachments to them. I mean, they're not investigated, I mean, we don't know. But there's definitely been places that I've investigated that I felt like things have been brought in because of the items that were brought into the places. And I also think that there's items that were maybe there that were original to the locations that may have had some energy to them. So, I guess it all depends on how you feel about what you're doing and your intent of is it a learning scenario? Is it because I mean, I know, like, at the one in Vegas, they make you sign a waiver before you even go in, so they're just like washing their hands, with anything,
any liability,
any liability. So
open up a divot box and stick their hand in and see what happens.
Right. Like, see, this motherfucker got me quacking. I genuinely start seeing red when I think about this dill hole.
What's haunting the
Oh no.
What was that?
I left. I'm so sorry. I got so mad I threw my tablet thing. Well, I didn't throw it. I kind of like tossed it back. Hold on, guys. You can keep talking. I'm gonna have to reset this up somehow. I'm in a closet, motherfuckers.
There's her laundry. There's her.
Okay.
Just keep talking. I'll get this set up. I got this.
If you do not know the repercussions of what you are owning,
oh no.
If you do not know the danger of what you are mixing, you do not deserve to own a haunted museum.
Mm-hmm. Preach it, sister.
Why would you open a Dybbuk box and then put people in front of it?
Mhm.
Because you're a dildo.
Why would you own things that are so supposedly haunted that okay, so this one is somewhere out closer to me. Why would you own a doll that is so supposedly haunted that if you go to move that doll from place to place, you have to wear a hazmat suit? But the people that come and visit you can wear a pair of gloves and hold the doll.
The gloves are soaked in holy water, though.
No,
Are you sure,
they're not.
or is it just regular water? And it's saying it's holy water.
It's not even that.
Let me ask you this, Cindy. I just want to get your. I know how you feel about it. We all obviously we waited to see for that. How do you feel about people that own these haunted objects? Right, people that own them, knowing that they're haunted. They're the keepers of these objects, bringing them to other known haunted locations to utilize the energies from those pieces to try to get other results at other locations.
You're playing with
Doing
fire.
it purposely. No, doing it on purpose,
Yeah, you're playing with fire is what you're doing.
Just like the suggestion I gave to Josh Shurda.
Because
Annabelle.
What if you're not doing it intentionally? What if you're going out to antique shops and buying things for your collection, not knowing that they're haunted, you bring them into a location?
there's a difference between unknowingly doing something and knowingly doing something. If
Correct.
you sorry, my cat is now knocking down my flipping altar.
Yeah, I'll be
Anyway,
right back. I gotta use the bathroom.
if you knowingly bring Annabelle into a place like Hinsdale or Malvern or something like that, knowing full well, supposedly, and I mean, I totally believe in this because knowing full well what can happen, and knowing full well that you are trying to stir up something. You're gonna stir up something, and it ain't gonna be good.
In essence, they're provoking?
Yes. In essence, they are provoking. In essence, they are trying to get an unneeded, unwanted reaction. If you have a doll that you bought in an antique shop and you don't know the history behind it and it happens to be haunted, and you bring it to somewhere like Hinsdale or Malvern, if you're not going there with the intention of stirring something up, you're just going there with the intention of, let's see what this does. That's a whole hell of a lot different than, I know how bad this thing is. Let's see what I can bring in.
What if it's a positive energy attached to a item, and you utilize the positive energy to try to open up more communication at a haunted location? What if it's a known positive energy?
Again, you're going with intention.
You're going with intention to open up the line of communication with whatever there in a positive way, utilizing the positive energy from your, say, totem.
Right. But see, again, you're going with intention. The intention is good, ergo, you're not trying to stir up problems.
So then it is okay if your intents are good to bring haunted objects to other locations, is what you're saying, or your opinion.
My opinion is, as if you're going into a place with a negative haunted object, which people have done, knowing fully well that this negative haunted object is going to bring problems to the place that you're going to, then yeah, I have a problem with that. If you're bringing something in, like, for lack of a better term, the Holy Grail, and you're bringing it into Notre Dame in Paris with the full intent of blessing the whole place, or whatever, that's a whole hell of a lot different. When you have a museum and you have a display case that has direct diametrically opposite objects in it, that have opposite purposes. And you're putting those together just to see what happens, knowing fully well the history behind these things. And a lot of it is not good for half of it. And the other half of it, yes, they're meant for good purposes, but there's still some dark history behind some of it. And then you are surprised when people get scratched or people get hurt, or
Let me throw out another for instance. So let's say that it's a location that has a grieving widow, a woman in white, somebody that's maybe lost a child and doesn't want to move on, and they're there, and they've people have gone there, investigated, and many people have found this woman in white, and then we have somebody from that has a haunted object that we think a child is attached to, and they want to bring that object to the location to try to help with the sorrow of the woman that lost her child, to try to see about maybe helping to bring positiveness to the location. Experimenting, I mean, it's a lot.
That type of experiment I can get behind, though, because you're trying to help. The intention is still good behind it.
Yeah.
You're trying to help the spirit to not be so sad. I guess 90% of my issues is, again, when you know what you've got and you know that the history behind these things are pretty shady, or the history behind these things are really bad, and you are allowing people to handle them, to be affected by them, that type of thing. That's my issue. It's like, okay, this is going to go a little bit to probably one of Darin's other questions, but I'm going to go there anyway.
His name is Daryl, first of all.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to go officially for the rest of this podcast.
Okay, so it's going to Daryl's questions.
Where's my other brother, Daryl?
It's like the idiots that sell Dybbuk boxes on eBay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why would you knowingly make an object like this and put it on eBay for somebody that has no clue what they are doing to buy and open?
Because there's sick fuckers out there.
Because they're the same people that Ghost Adventures. Anyway.
But yeah, that's my issue with the whole haunted place.
He gets name dropped a lot on this episode. That's me residuals for all of this free publicity.
People get off on other people getting hurt.
Yeah, to your questions, Daniel, if the intention is good, I don't have an issue with it. If the intentions are not to stir up stuff or to, to harm another location, to possibly harm another location, I don't have a problem with that. My problems are when you knowingly bring in things that are not good, and
Yeah. But that's anything, though, regardless of whether or not it's objects. It's the way we go and investigate. It all has to be about our respect, intention, and everything plays back into it. David asked a question a while ago, and he said, what's y'all's take on shadow people, full manifestation, or just certain levels? And we kind of we touched on that a little bit on the previous show we did right before this. So this kind of gives us a good way to segue into that more, because that was very interesting to me when, Daniel, you said you had the instance where you saw the shadow figure, but it looked like half corporeal, but then also it just hadn't gotten enough energy to be a full-bodied apparition. So what's your take on shadow people and full manifestations and whatnot?
I think there's different stages of what a spirit energy can do. I mean, just in my experiences with shadow people, getting close to one, being able to see human features, I feel like when a newly departed spirit is not able to fully manifest yet, they're coming across as a shadow person. I feel like they're just they don't have the I don't want to say knowledge, but they just don't have a way of knowing how to fully manifest yet.
The awareness.
Yeah, awareness in order to fully come across as what they were in human life. And the instance that I had where I got very close to a shadow person, and when I looked at it, you could see human features. It said to me that, and it looked like it was confused and scared, like it didn't know what was going on. And to me, says that it's the dearly departed that are coming across to shadows, just not knowing how to fully manifest yet, or have the awareness to do so. And maybe that's why, like we were saying on the other podcast, you're not getting, stuff pre-1700s and all those different types of cavemen and all that other type of stuff. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's just my theory. That's just what from my experience and what I think it could potentially be.
Very nice. Miss Cynthia?
I think it would be kind of cool to see a Neanderthal spirit. Hey, no, I totally agree with that. I have not been up close and personal enough to see features on a shadow person. I've just shadows, going back and forth in hallways and things like that. Although I do have to ask, what would you do if you saw, like, just a pair of legs manifest?
That's happened to me before.
I was going to say, I've seen just body parts.
I've never seen that, and I don't know what I would do.
Legs, I've seen just legs. I
have yet to experience that one. I think that would freak me out. But yeah, no, I think that
there's an aha moment. There's the thing that will freak her out. That
Yeah.
That would be the one thing that would probably sit there and go, "Oh no, done."
Like you just saw a pair of hands coming at you from the
that are
ceiling.
listening to Cynthia right now start coming across as just an arm and a leg walking towards her. Just one arm, one leg.
Yeah.
Or a floating parsible.
And now that I say this, there's one person that's going to play with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What was that? What was that? The head on Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. What was his name? He always said Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Heiny Ho.
Oh, the genie guy. Yeah.
Genie, just the head in the box.
Yeah.
Cynthia needs to get her own head guy. Just
Oh, no, because knowing my luck, I would turn around and his face would be in the mirror and I'd be sitting there going, okay. You've been playing with Daniel again, haven't you? For those of you that are not do not know me or are not aware of my situation, I lost my husband last year in June 2020, and we have this running joke because he always used to say, even before he passed away, that once he was gone, he was going to be on the other side of the EVP recorder, and he was coming back to haunt all of us. And so that's what we're kind of dealing with, is the whole, they think it would be funny to see just a floating head. Yeah, no. I have the penguin that he carries around with him all the flipping time, and I'm still waiting for that thing to start moving. And if it does,
that'll be so nice.
She's like, it's nice, but yeah. You'll also do it at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you'll be like, "Why the fuck did you wake me up early?" Like,
what do you want? I'm trying to sleep. I have to work at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I think one of my favorite posts that he ever made was about that, actually, and how you guys had made a pact to each other that if you passed over, you'd come back and haunt the shit out of one another. Like, that is a beautiful love. Like, y'all just like, nope, I'm coming back and I'm gonna.
Yep, he always threatened me that if he ever went before I did, he was coming back to possess that penguin, and I'm still waiting.
I like the fact that he instead of wanting to actually type, he always did the microphone and sent me messages. So you can go back and listen to his voice and listen to questions, and it's nice to have all that. So
I still have all mine yet.
I go back and play videos, and every once in a while I'll get lucky and I'll come across an old voice message or something that he's left on chat and start giggling about it. But yeah, no, he whenever he and I, there was one night where he just, I don't know what it was. He was just in this really weird mood and we were going to bed. And he just sat there for probably 45 minutes to an hour. What would you do if I came back? If I die before you do, what would you do if I came back and haunted that penguin? I said, I'd burn it. And he's like, you would? And I said, no, you know I wouldn't burn that penguin. And he goes, but no, what would you do if I was gone and you were in bed and that penguin started to walk? And I said, well, number one, I would probably be out of the house faster than a shot until I realized what the hell was going on. Then maybe I might try to communicate.
We have about 10 minutes left. We're going to probably run over just a little bit because I have 2 final questions that I want to go ahead and get covered before we finish.
I got a question.
Uh-oh.
No, you don't. Yours didn't count, Daryl. We've been asking your questions all night, Daryl.
Yeah, what do you want, Daryl?
I'm just kidding, Daryl. What's your question?
All right. What are your views on pregnant women going on an investigation and the baby gets possessed or the woman gets possessed?
Okay. I'm going to answer that first because
my wife absolutely hates this question.
I actually did that when I was pregnant with Oliver. Now, my thing was that I wasn't
almost named Oliver.
You were almost named Oliver?
Yeah, that's what my dad wanted, but my mom.
You look like an Oliver.
My mom
seem like an Oliver.
Or my dad did one, my mom won.
Yeah, you seem like an Oliver. But when I was pregnant with him, I was bored, and I wasn't just going to go into just any random place. You know, a lot of the places that I had gone into while I was pregnant with him, I had been there multiple times before and had scoped the place out, knew that there was nothing in there that was going to hurt me, you know. But I was pregnant with Oliver during our family vacation out to Broken Bow. This was the first time I'd ever gone out into Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And I'm a very outdoorsy person. I like doing like water skiing and tubing and zip lines and stuff like that. And you can't do any of it when you're pregnant. So I was like, well, I'll go investigating then, because this is the whole town of Hochatown and Broken Bow. Just you can feel the energy coming up off of it. I think because of all the native happenings that went along there. But I just found a place and I went in and investigated, and I will admit that was an absolute mistake, because regardless of how much you know your boundaries and how much you know your limit, and yourself as an investigator, there's something just really, really weird happens when you're pregnant. Like, you're way more sensitive to everything that's going on around you. You're emotionally just absolutely raw. And I got to the point where I didn't even really know where I was when I was sitting in there. And then something kept saying baby to me, and I felt like they were like trying to take my baby or going to do something to my baby. So I left. And so regardless of how responsible we think we are as investigators, I truly, and speaking from experience, don't ever believe that a pregnant woman should go into a location. You have no idea, no control over your mental and physical and emotional state at that point when you're pregnant. Just, you don't. It's very, very dangerous. Yeah. Very.
See, I would have just been like the guy, and I would have been like, let people make their own decisions, but I'm not going to argue with a pregnant lady. You know?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like some people and I didn't even really think about, the emotional state. I always just thought about like it's their body, it's their vessel. It's if they feel like they're protected or they're taking protection steps, that they're also protecting what's inside of their body. That that person that's deciding whether they want to or don't want to do it knows what they're getting themselves into, and I would allow it. I would allow them to come to the house, but I wouldn't let them do it alone. I think that there has to be a fine line with
No.
that as well. But
I kind of fucked up with that because but my thing was I'm always alone. You know what I'm saying? So like in my mind, I was like, I am prepared because I'm always prepared. I'm always like this is my natural state.
there's got to be a wing person. Something.
I always let the local, sheriff's office, like police department, whoever because sometimes the towns are really tiny and they just have like a little local sheriff's office that have 2 people working for every shift of the day. But I always let them know that I'm on location and have them doing checks. So they do hourly sweeps to make sure that I'm okay. Like they don't interrupt with the investigations, but if anything ever did happen to me, you know what I'm saying? At least I have that kind of
Backup. Yeah.
Almost, that I know I'm in there alone, but I know that somebody's watching out for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia?
I don't know. I tend to agree with Ashley that it's probably not the best idea because you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with, I mean, I'm sure y'all have dealt with pregnant women before.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you say something wrong, they're going to cry at the drop of a hat, or they're going to get really, really, really mad at you at the drop of a hat.
That's why you don't say anything wrong. You just, if they say they want some cookies, go get them cookies. If they want ice cream bars, you go get them ice cream bars. Oh, you do what you're told when they're pregnant. Or at least you're supposed to. I mean, that's how I
was gonna say the world needs more people like you, Daniel. But yeah, no, my thing is if again, I kind of have to agree with Daniel on this too. I always went with if they're protected. If they felt they were protected enough, if they felt like they had the faculties enough, then I would let them do it. But then she went and brought up the hormones, and I went, "Oh yeah."
I didn't think about that. But then again, who am I to tell a pregnant woman that control
she
your
can't
hormones?
do something?
No, I'm not necessarily saying like absolutely don't. I'm saying from personal experience, you definitely shouldn't. Like, again, regardless of how protected you think you are, because I go in like super protected. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very prepared for what I do. And it hit me in a way that I never expected. And so I feel like you should always be putting your child's health first. So you shouldn't even really be putting yourself in that situation to make that decision. Are they safe or not? You know what I'm saying? Like investigating can wait until after the baby comes out.
Right.
Because I was the same way. I was like, oh my God, I want to go somewhere and just couldn't hold it. And I was wrong for that. Like I was incredibly wrong for making that decision. And I learned from it. And I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying be aware that regardless of how
be very, very cautious.
You think you are, have
an out. If
there you go.
Feel a little weird.
Have a safe word.
Safe word, yeah.
I know.
We always use macaroni in the asylum. Like, if y'all don't feel safe, just radio in and just say macaroni and I'll come a running. Or I tell them, because sometimes the radios go out and I'm like, just go caw and I'll go tookie until I find you.
See, I would let the lady do it because she knows her body more than I do, and that how far extent they can go take.
What do you mean you let her do it? Like,
if they want to come in, and do an investigation, I would be okay with that. But she
wouldn't stop it.
I wouldn't stop it. No, I would let her have her come and do what she wants to do, But the knowing the thing is, if you're that owner of that location, there's a liability there if she could fall or hurt the baby in some sort of way, going up against a wall, but running and not know where she is and run right into a wall. I mean, there's a liability there, and it's 2 people instead of 1. So
That's why I always have everybody, and it kind of
Is it-
surprises
is
me
it
that
2
more
people,
locations
or
don't
is
do
it just a
this.
fetus?
what's that?
Is it 2 people, or is it not until it's born? Is it a person?
I say it's 2 people.
Now, what do you think, Ashley Storm?
I think they're both people. As soon as it can sit there, if its heart is beating already while it's still inside you, a heart is a heart, regardless of where it is. It's beating inside you.
So it doesn't have a choice, except for the mother makes the choice for it.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get to the last 2 questions.
Sorry, derailed
No.
it there.
It's fine, Daryl. So have y'all ever run across a non-human entity that can control human spirits?
No.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Now-
think so. I think that the negative energy at the Hinsdale house is a non-human spirit, and it when it's there and it's prevalent, all the other energies in the house are dormant, and all
Yes.
you hear is the negative. And I've had psychics draw me pictures. I've had so many psychics tell me that they don't believe it's human energy, that it's from the land.
I was gonna
and
say, is it non-human negative? Is it non-human elemental?
I've had elemental people that specialize in elementals, and I think there's elemental energy there, but I don't think that the spirit in the house is an elemental.
Okay.
I just think it's a bastard of a spirit. Like I think it's a bastard of an energy that's set in its ways, and it seems to control the atmosphere when it comes out. That's why I tell people when it does come out and you start feeling that change and shift in energy, to ignore it and move on. Maybe go on outside, try something different, and stay away from it for a while, and don't acknowledge it. And usually that takes care of it. But definitely, it just seems to control the atmosphere when it makes itself known.
Yeah, and that was part of so David, this has happened at 2 different locations so far for me. One was at the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum, like the actual ambush site. So the plaque and everything is about 2 miles down the road from where they were actually killed, right? But in that area of Arcadia and just that whole, I get freaked out just kind of thinking about it because of how fucking gross it feels when you're around it. So you're at the ambush site, and while you're there, you feel like something is just watching you from the tree line and just ready to attack you at any moment. And when you start feeling it there, because you'll be interacting with things at the death site, right? Getting EVP responses or hearing footsteps on the gravel coming up and little things like that, or really weird balls of light, not lightning bugs, balls of light, huge, ginormous, and I hate the word orbs, but actual circles of light, coming in and out, and just everything happening like that. And then when that thing starts watching you, it's it shuts everyone up. It traps their energy almost, or it's like a fire, it just puts out their light and takes everything to be more prevalent. And it feels constantly it's going to attack you. And the same thing happened at Goatman's Bridge. Now, I truly believe, I don't use the word demon loosely. I don't believe that this is necessarily demonic, but an entity that was brought forward by certain rituals and things that people did in that area that aren't necessarily, people think that when you do rituals and you call things forth, it's always going to be a demon. There are so many different elements of, in how Cynthia said, actual elementals. There are different things you could be calling forward from different places that have evil intentions and evil energy, but aren't demonic. And the same thing happened at Goatman's Bridge. I went there to prove Zach Bagan's wrong and be like, not everything's a demon, bitches, and got so fucking sick I ended up in the ER for 2 weeks throwing up black bile that they couldn't even figure out what it was. Could not figure out what this consistency and all this shit was going on with me. And whenever we'd start talking and I'd feel another spirit trying to come up and talk or something, his energy would rush up on us, and then you would feel like trapped, almost like you couldn't speak, like someone was like trying to suffocate you or choke you to get you to stop talking. That happened all the time. And as soon as that energy got more prevalent in that area, all of the other interactions with other spirits stopped, and it felt like they didn't go away, but like people who died there, he collects their energy, if that makes any sense. Like they feed off of the tragedy and build themselves up into this bigger thing.
Kind of like Stranger Things.
Yeah, kind of, but without all the cool alien type shit, you know.
Yeah.
I've not watched
That's
that
my
show.
best comparison of it.
Definitely. So this last one is because I know spirit boxes annoy me. Rich said, it seems to me that spirit boxes irritate some spirits. Thoughts? I'll go with you first, Daniel.
I mean, I utilize them, but I don't overutilize them. You know, I use it as a one of my techniques when I'm investigating to see what we can come across, and sometimes it works better than other times, you know, and or you try a different type of spirit box. It could, I mean, potentially, yeah. I mean, how many times have you sat there and been in a group, and then there's a spirit box session, and somebody wants to control the conversation, and they hear what they want to hear, and they start spouting things out and say, "Oh, it just said this," or it just, and they want to kind of mold it into what they're thinking or feeling, and it's like, it didn't just say that. Like, I think, like for me, like I get very comfortable with some of the boxes that I have because I utilize them a lot, and I can understand what they're saying, and then I go back and watch video or a recording of what I thought I heard to confirm what I think I heard. And you know, I can understand that it could potentially, you know, if you're utilizing them in an incorrect way or completely getting the whole wrong point of the communication that's trying to come through, I'd be fucking annoyed too. I mean, I'd be like, damn, this person doesn't get one damn word I'm saying. This is frustrating, you know, like, I mean, so I guess the hopes are that you're listening for the right things and you're picking up on the right things, you know, and you're not trying to push negative stuff, you know.
I tend to agree with Ashley. They make me sick.
I don't know if it's the psychic thing, but it makes me like.
It makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
It literally makes me nauseous.
Throws me off, makes me dizzy, makes me feel, like you said, a little bit nauseous, but it's weird. It's almost like EMF pulses. Like when you get the and white noise, I can't listen to white noise for very long because it does the same thing to me. It makes me feel off.
Yeah.
It's so cool when you get something and then a psychic comes in and they're like, I feel this, and it's like, yes.
When they can validate it, yeah.
I mean, it's cool for me. Like, I love that.
And we've done that. We haven't done it with an actual like an SB7 or an SB11. We did it with the Necrophonic. We were doing an Estes method. So ITC devices are kind of the same way as well. Taylor had the earphones in and he was doing the Estes, and I had headphones in and I had it blocked out with my own little Zen noise so that I couldn't hear the questions they were asking, but I was giving them the responses that I was getting, and we were able to validate that a little bit with each other. But again, like you were saying, the hardest part with the spirit boxes is that whoever's running them, like you said, they can take it to the extreme of they repeat everything that they want to hear. And I've been in several sessions where we have been using a spirit box or using an ITC device, and 2 or 3 people, oh, it said this, and you're sitting there going,
but did it though?
where did you get that from? What I just heard,
but then you don't want to question it either, and you just
right?
Okay,
well,
whatever,
And it's a lot of it. It could be pareidolia.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're hearing something, but you didn't exactly hear what you thought you heard. The Necrophonic has a sound that almost sounds like horse's hooves, but it's an actual whisper, phonetic whisper. so it's not actually horses' hooves. And I've had people sit there and go, "Oh, somebody's riding a horse through here."
Right.
It doesn't make that sound. Sorry. So that's when you have to go back through your recordings and everything else to see if that's actually what you heard, or if it's in context with whatever you were trying to get at that time.
That also plays into the preconceived notions that we go into, though, when, like, especially the really, really famous locations, when people go in with, they've watched all of the different shows and things like that, and they always hear these certain words. They always get this response. So then people go in thinking, okay, well, this is what I'm going to experience. So then that response that you get that says Jake, because they get Jake in there all the time. They hear Jake, Jake, Jake all the time. They get that name all the time. But then you really go back and actually listen to it, and it's like saying snake or something like that. But you're already swayed because you've got yourself hyped up to hear these things. So you've already tainted your, not evidence, I don't like that word. You've tainted your findings. By doing things like that, by not having a completely clear mind about what you're trying to receive from them communication-wise, especially their boxes.
Or with the ITC devices, a lot of times when people use necrophonic or spiritus or something, and they get a word, they let the device lead the whole EVP session. So if you're asking them a question and you get the response of, you ask them, give us some sort of a word that can tell us that you're here with us right now, and it says brown. Oh, okay, the dresser's brown. Yeah. So what's with the dresser, and then it might say tree. Well, it's wood. It's made out of a tree, You're going with the randomness of the ITC device, and you're not realizing that there's no relevance to what you're actually looking for.
Yes. What about you, Daryl?
Well, I like the necrophonics and spiritus apps. The SB7 and 11, I hate listening to that noise for even 15 minutes. I hate listening to it. It just drives me nuts. And ITCs are a lot more clear. Can be a lot cleaner. The spiritus gets a little wonky once in a while, I think, because it just feels like all that whispers are coming in, and the voices are coming all at once. You can't separate the voices from what actually was trying to say. So it can be tough as to what you pick up. But there again, I mean, when I get an EVP, I listen 4, 5, 10 times over to make sure if I'm listening and getting the same thing over and over. So I know exactly what I got. But yeah, that's about it for me. I don't, because I try to do other experiments versus doing the spirit boxes and stuff. So I don't use it. I don't imply it on everything I do.
And I think one of the last things that I kind of wanted to add to that was with the SB7s and SB11s and stuff too. The person that has it needs to know how to run it.
Yeah.
Because
that's important.
Well, there's a lot of times that I've sat through spirit box sessions, and you either don't get anything because they don't have it tuned in right, or you're actually almost getting the whole radio station because they don't have it tuned in right. Mm-hmm. So
oh shit.
I have mine.
I had that happen at one of the events that somebody booked at the asylum. I'm sitting outside and I just hear it, and I'm like, are they just listening to the radio? Like, I actually thought that they were just like having downtime listening to the radio because of the way that they were using the spirit box. I'm like, oh, hunty.
Let me show you how to use that.
You can press some different buttons and reconfigure, because this is not how it works.
That's why I don't own one, because they stuck one in my hands one time and I looked at it and went, what am I supposed to do with this?
Well, look at EVP Shifter, that app there. Now that's a little difficult because you got to adjust it.
EVP Shifter, Dead Wave, all of those that I have that I'm still learning how to use, they, they have equalizers. They have, dead wave has different frequencies and different pitch, tone, everything. And that's why I don't use them as much.
Mm-hmm. You began to think more about the ITC versus doing an actual EVP session.
Yeah. Some people become too dependent on the spirit boxes or ITC devices.
Or doing an SS method through the whole 8 hours.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Gotta do other things. Gotta be more versatile.
Okay, wait, hold up. So you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, who are you? Does anybody know this Joe Ron dude? Because
Nope.
you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I hope you had a good show, Mr. Ron. You are now blocked from our channel. We do not tolerate bullying in any way, shape, or form. We are too fucking grown for that. Thank you very much. You are now blocked. And speaking of bullying, this is the way that I love to end my show. If you guys have anything that you want to plug, go ahead and plug it, and then we will go ahead and get to our resource information slides. The slides that are about to come up have crisis resource information for literally anything you could think of. Please use these hotline numbers, and there are also a bunch of text numbers. It's 100% free, 100% confidential, and they are open 24 hours. If you're struggling with suicidal ideation, if you're a veteran, if you're suffering from domestic abuse, if you have witnessed sexual child abuse or child trafficking, anything you can think of, we have the resources for you to get the help you need. Daniel, would you like to go ahead and plug what you need to plug, sir?
Just if anything for me, if you want to check it out, www.danielklaes.com. If you're, and I put this up on my page last week, if you're involved with paranormal research or want to be or have ever felt beat down, pushed away, besides the number she's putting up, you can always hit me up. I'll talk to anybody. I'll be your friend. There's no judgment. Sometimes people just need an outlet, and I never turn anybody away. Never, depending. Doesn't even matter how crazy it sounds. There's always a logical explanation for everything, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So
he's a very good outlet. I know this from experience.
Feel free to hit me up.
Plugs in.
You can find any of our stuff on Raven Rose Paranormal on Facebook. We have Rave Rose Paranormal at Rave Rose Paranormal on Instagram. I have a Twitter, but I can't remember my Twitter.
Water.
I want to say it's Paranormal. I think it's at Paranormal Rose. We do have a YouTube channel, but make sure if you look up the YouTube channel, Raven Rose Paranormal, you look up Raven Rose, you're gonna get a stripper page.
Maybe do both.
Google Raven Rose.
Check out the Raven Rose page this weekend. We've
Raven
got
Rose Paranormal page.
Yep, the Raven Rose Paranormal page on Facebook. We have an investigation coming up at Malvern this weekend.
Yes,
I am hoping to get to Michigan to the Paranormal Paracon in Michigan next weekend, but I don't know if that one's going to happen or not. We have some other expos coming up, I think, and I will put those up on the Raven Rose Paranormal page on Facebook, and that's how you can find us.
Awesome. And you, Daryl?
You can find me at Midwest Ghost Seekers on Facebook and also on Instagram. Also, you can catch us every third Monday of the month on the Paranormal Bus Stop on Paranormal Buzz Radio, on Spreaker, and all other internet outlets. And yes, I have an investigation this weekend at Melbourne as well. So it's going to be a fun time. That's about all I got coming up, next to an event at the end of October.
Okay. And remember to go ahead and follow Paranormal Buzz Radio. You can follow them on Spreaker and also on Facebook, and then also RU Media Network and all the other great shows that we have here all throughout the week. We'll be back next Monday, and I am going to be dropping at some point this week the pre-recorded interview that I did with Mikhail from Misha from the Chernobyl private guide tours. He actually does private guided tours all throughout Chernobyl and the disaster zone sites. And I'm going to have an interview pre-recorded with him this week for you guys to listen to next Monday. So again, thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for your time, your questions. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. And remember, if you want to learn the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And you guys have an amazing week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.